Hey, good evening, everybody, man. I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of the Conversation 98, episode 202, man. We're live, we're back in the building, and I'm happy to be back on before you guys today. Hope all is well. Was watching me some football, so that's the delayed response. That's what it is. But I'm just happy and excited about being back with you guys again. But man, today, man, I hope all is well. I hope everything is going well with everybody. And not only that, though, I hope everybody having a good week. And a blessed week. I hope things have been going well. Weather's been changing, getting ready towards the end of 2024. About to be 2025. And man, time don't stop for anybody. But won't be on here before you guys long tonight. What I'm looking forward to is just the conversation for tonight, because I think tonight conversation is going to be a very interesting conversation and one that I think is be relevant and relatable to a lot of people. But sharing this with a few people, and we're going to get right on with it, man. But again, hope all is well with everybody. And looking forward to the conversation. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know where you're watching from. And, hey, feel free to interact. But we're going to get right on with it. Hey, what's going on, Leandrew? Roll Tide, brother. Roll Tide with you, man. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to go ahead on and get on with it. And we're going to talk about one of the things we're talking about tonight is it's important to understand the difference between being in a partnership and a relationship, because there's a difference. There's a lot of differences, and I'm going to talk about it, but there's a difference between being in a partnership and being in a relationship. And I think a lot of times when you start talking about relationships, intimate relationship with people, or long-term relationships, most people struggle with understanding the difference, because a partnership, I think, is more so something that's mutually beneficial. A relationship is just you in a relationship with somebody. It's a title. It can be, in a lot of ways, it can just be a title to a lot of people, because everybody is not committed on the same level. And one thing I want to talk about is the difference between a partnership and relationship is the level of commitment that both parties have in it. And that's as simple as it's put, but it can be very complex, because many people come in expecting the benefits of a partnership, but they just only want to commit to the title of a relationship. That's what that is. And I was thinking about it, looking at it, and meditating on what to talk about. But there's a distinct difference, and it's something I had a conversation with my mom about, and we discussed it in length. But you can be in a relationship but not in a partnership. But if you are in a partnership, it's hard not to be in a relationship. And I'm saying that because I'm not trying to confuse it. I'm just really laying it out there, because a partnership is more so like a commitment. It's a mutual commitment that both parties mutually benefit from it. A relationship somewhat is just a title. Many people are just walking around with just a title that both parties aren't mutually benefiting from. See, if it's just one-sided and one person is benefited more from the other one, that person probably just committed to the level of relationship. They're not committed so much to the partnership side. And as a partnership side is caused where mutually beneficial, like both parties that are involved are mutually benefiting from it. Because so many people they claim to be in partnership, but they're only committed to being in a relationship because they're not willing to ensure that both parties are mutually benefiting from it. Hey, what's up with you, man? Hey, thanks for tuning in. What's up, Duck? But yeah, I want people to say this, man. Like, honestly, think about it. And there's a lot of people that are so quick. People are, if we sit down and look at it, there's a lot of people that are quick to claim the title of a relationship. They search for it. They champion it. And hey, I'm in a relationship. I have a girlfriend. I have a boyfriend. I have a significant other. I have my spouse. I'm married, this, that, and the third. But their mindset is not even conditioned to the partnership aspect of it. Their mindset is not even conditioned to the other person really mutually benefiting from being in that relationship. Their mindset is always self-serving and what they can get out of it, right? And they will champion that relationship, but they don't honor it through the partnership part, because the partnership is where the strength come in the relationship. It has to be mutually beneficial. And I'm not saying that for a temporary time. I'm talking about long-term mutually beneficial. Some people just come in for the title. They come in because of provision. Some people come in just for a status. but they're not willing to be there and meet the needs of the other person, meet what the other person like mutually and want to do it. You shouldn't have to be poor to do it. And that's sad, but that's what it is. That's a sad reality, but that's what a lot of people deal with. And that's why a lot of relationships fail, because people aren't committed to doing it. You know, like it's not, I would tell you this, man. Being married is not hard. Being in a long-term relationship is not hard if you want to be in it. See, the hard thing when people say it's hard is because the hard thing you have to deal with is yourself. It's hard because we are selfish as people. And many of us don't want to put ourselves down and realize that, hey, I have to choose the other person, choose to sacrifice. I have to make sure that the other person is benefiting mutually. And what I mean mutually, I'm not saying equal, because we all don't need the same thing at the same time. But a person should feel like what they're invested into the relationship, the return on their investment is the same. And a lot of people just feel like them just being present is good enough. And that's not true. That's not true. What are you doing to make sure that that person is okay? What are you doing to look out for that person? What are the things that you are personally doing to prioritize that person in the relationship? Because if you're just thinking about you in a relationship and you're not committed to the partnership part of it, and that's a problem. That right there's a problem. People don't like to do it. People don't like to talk about it, but 100% that's what it is. And, you know, there's a difference. Like, there's a difference. Like, there are some people who are only committed to the title of a relationship because they know that they are with somebody who is doing their part to being in a partnership, but they know that they don't have to give their all to it, but they can still benefit from it. And many times when you deal with these people are very selfish in nature. They come up with all these excuses of why they can't be there for that person, why they can't fulfill the needs of that person. They always have an attitude or always try to start an argument. But the reality is they just want to benefit from the title of a relationship, but they don't want to deal with the commitment of a partnership. A partnership mutually. Like when I say mutually, I mean that partnership should be one where both parties equally feel and have trust in it that they are mutually benefiting from it. And there's no ifs, ands, buts about it, because if you have to ask for it, it ain't there. Just tell you that right now. And people don't like talk about that, but that's what it is. And I said this many times before, but I wanna make sure that I hit the nail on the head. But you never have to remind anybody to do something that they want to do. And the problem when you come in relationships, when you talk about relationships and partnerships, a partner that is committed to the other person, and there's a mutual level of trust and a mutual level of effort that is given, like you never have to question it. Even when you're going to have your peaks and your valleys in life, that's going to happen, but you never question their commitment. If you always got to remind somebody to think about you, to consider you, to be there for you, or do things that mutually benefit you, like if you got to remind them of that, if they don't put that same effort that they put for other stuff, man, them folks are not in it for you. They're in it for themselves. And some people are very comfortable with the title of a relationship, but they refuse to do the work that it calls to have it a productive relationship when you enter into a partnership. Because one thing I know, when you want to do something, nobody have to remind you or motivate you to do it. Facts. And one thing that I've known, and I realized, you know, my mom, and shout out to my mom, because my mama did have shared a lot of things with me that I learned from. But my mom told me, she said that it took her 20 years before she got in the right mindset to be in a partnership with my dad and to fully submit under his leadership. And she said those 20 years was because of her insecurities, not because of the consistency that my dad showed her. And she said they were able to do more in the time in between where she changed her mindset and submitted and got into the role of a partnership with my dad. They was able to accomplish more as a couple in the 10 years that he lived after that than the 20 plus years that she did fighting against it. And the reason why was when you're in a partnership, you're mutually working together for one common goal. And you can accomplish a lot in that. So shout out to my mom for that. Shout out to my mom for sharing that with me, because reality was I didn't personally see it from my eyes observing, but she shared it with me from her mindset and her reality. You know, that's something that nobody likes to talk about, but that's a reality that many of us have to deal with. That's a reality what that is, right? And you talking about a partnership. Think about it. Think about it. My mom made up a real good point, and one thing she said was, a partnership is more like a contract that is binding, and people are there. It's like a transaction. It's not that you getting into it. I'm not talking about a transactional relationship, but I'm presenting it in the aspect of there are mutual investments and there are expected outputs from it. The problem is most people aren't willing to put in the work for the output that the other person received, but they prioritize them receiving what they desire from the relationship or from that partnership. When you have that, then that's when you have somebody that's in the mindset of using somebody. They're not in the mindset of being there for that person. They're not in the mindset of sacrificing for that person or considering that person or putting that person first. They always come up with excuses. And the reason why they come up with excuses is because they are too prideful to deal with themselves and see themselves for where they at. And the reason why they don't want to see themselves for where they at, because they never want to answer for their own behavior, and they hate accountability. They hate it. I don't care how you slice it, they hate it. That's what it is. They hate it. And I'm being honest with you. No matter what, and people can say this, but this is what it is, right? It does not matter how much you try to justify. When you are not there for somebody, a person, when they know that they're not there for somebody, when they know they're not doing the things that they need to do in a relationship with somebody, they were always trying to find ways to excuse it or give an excuse for it as if it's justifiable or if it's acceptable. No, it's not acceptable. It can be a valid reason, but that don't mean that it's a valid excuse. And I think a lot of times people feel like that, but what it really boils down to is you didn't want to do it. You know, you weren't there for that person. You didn't choose that person first. You don't honor that person the way that you expect them to honor you. And many of us have the audacity to feel like that, will claim that the person has been disrespectful, but the person has just always been consistent, and you just never was consistent. And when somebody call you out on it, you get defensive, and then you get in your feelings, and you feel like somebody calling you out. But that's just really evident that you didn't do what you're supposed to do in the first place. That's just what that is. I'm being honest with you. No matter how you try to slice it, how you try to put it, that is what it is. And what the other thing is, you talking about partnership and relationship. You know, many people struggle with really understanding that what it is about a relationship. And a lot of times for me, and I'm just giving my opinion, you know, a relationship is just a status. That doesn't mean that you're in a partnership or you're in a commitment to that person or to the other person, and it's mutually beneficial. You know, many of us walk around like we still in elementary school when we wrote them letters, I like you, do you like me, check yes or no. No, it's about mutually benefiting and feeling that level of trust that you're committed with that person and you're there to meet that person's needs. Not that person that you're there just to benefit for that person or you're there just to hold a title. No, but you're actually meeting that person's needs, and that you're actually there for that person, that you're actually pouring into that person, that you're actually protecting that person, praying for that person, uplifting that person, being there for that person, supporting that person. But no, you're not there because you give an excuse because you don't want to do it, and you never did. But many of us are just comfortable with that because they benefit from it, and that's what it is. Man, I tell you, there's a big difference between being in a partnership and in a relationship. And I hope that many of us find that and don't waste our time being committed to a relationship that the person is not showing that they are willing to be a partner with you. And I have to say that again. Don't waste time being in a relationship to a person who has consistently shown you they're not willing to be in a partnership. Because if you stay in that relationship, what it's going to do is you probably have the mindset of giving and being there and providing meeting the needs of that person. But that person is not there for that. And that person is not going to change their mind. They're going to continue to set the situation up to where they're benefiting and they're getting the things that they need from it. But you will always find yourself at the tail end of not getting the things that you need because that person truly don't want it. They like the benefits of it, but they don't like the reality of what it costs to be in that relationship. Because if they truly did, you never would have to even worry about certain things. That person will be there for you no matter what. They will be there for you. If they're always an excuse given, it's because they never wanted to do it in the first place. No matter what excuse they try to give you, no matter how they try to turn it on you, they just didn't want to do it. And many of us, you know, what the struggle is, we find ourselves in relationships like that, and we are committed to a partnership, but the person is committed to a relationship. And I would tell you, some people only stay committed to a relationship for the optics of what it looks like for other people outside. They could care less about fulfilling the needs of the other person in that relationship, fulfilling the partnership. They're more concerned on how somebody else will view them externally, because if that status change for them with the title that they're holding. Some people covet the title. They don't covet the work. They don't covet the sacrifice. They don't have the mindset already set. They already come in unwilling. They come in unwilling, but they want that title. You know, they want the ceremony, but they don't want the work. They want the benefits of it, but they don't want the sacrifice of it. And it's easy to spot these people, because when you get into these relationships, it's always chaos. It's always something coming up. It's never something where they won't initiate anything. They won't be the ones out there pouring out. You will always find yourself connected to them people, feeling like you're in a deficit, because they are takers. They are takers. And guess what takers do? Takers will continue to take, and they won't offer anything back. And then when you hold those takers accountable, they're going to play the role and try to flip it like you're attacking them. And it's always, woe is me. It's never, dang, what I do. And they will not willfully come to you and say, hey, I was the one doing wrong. But man, I just wanted to just come on here before you guys today. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for supporting me, man. We're going to continue to go strong. Looking forward to bigger and better things. You guys have a great and wonderful week. God bless.